in various ways. Defined most narrowly, it is ancient Christian heresy, which means heresy means a heretic is a person that is against the order of stuff. So the Christians to call them heretics and kill them off, which means that they had the real stuff and the Christians stole their stuff, and in order to keep the people from knowing the real knowledge, they had to kill them all off. And they went all up and down the Mediterranean and killed them off. It arose out of Christianity in the 2nd century and eventually died out. Well, he was wrong on that. But he redeems himself. He says, defined more broadly, Gnosticism remains an entirely ancient phenomenon, but is more than a Christian one. So he's saying in actuality it's an entirely ancient phenomenon than a Christian one of the 2nd century. It is also both pre-Christian and non-Christian. You see what I'm saying? Non-Christian. Perhaps the whole ancient world encompasses Christianity rather than is encompassed by it. The Nag Hammadi discovery has established that Gnosticism at the latest is non-Christian, whether or not pre-Christian phenomenon. It's non-Christian. Now, the key is here it is, you got a whole doctrine that is copied, that a man lied and said that they wrote, some damn disciples wrote, after Jesus died and left. Well, in actuality, we now know that Josephus, who is the only historical account of Jesus, was actually a Roman and worked for the Roman government. Now, the Jews say that he was a traitor. But whether he was a traitor or what, the accounts that they got him to write the histories, where he accounts for a historical one, was a Roman scholar. So he wasn't nothing but a plagiarizer of religious artifacts and a liar that this person walked the earth 2,000 years ago. You see what I'm saying? That he walked the earth 2,000 years ago. You see? And so, so they're saying that it is non-Christian. Now, let's deal with some stuff here. It's funny that Pope John Paul just came out last week and said that there's a rise and a real surgence of the Christian heretics called Gnosticism, which he's speaking against it, telling the people you don't need to deal with these because these are heretics of Satan, of Gnosticism. You see what I'm saying? The Pope John Paul said this. Last week he said this particular part. Now look at this. Now let me get this right. I want to show you something. Adalbroth in Ancient Ones, this book that just came out this year is called The Allure of Gnosticism, and they have several authors. The guy who's editing the book is called Robert A. Siegel. And in here they got a whole chapter on Adalbroth. And Adalbroth now, in the ancient time, is mostly controlled, and he's mostly let's put it this way, the most manifestation of Adalbroth now is the ego, which is keeping you to the lower physical level, as well as they say in this book, organized religion. Organized religion, you see, as this particular Adalbroth, known as Set Typhon in Egypt, Ogu in Dogon, and different things. You see what I'm saying? It's organized religion. And it's funny because the Dogon mythology parallels this one perfectly almost, which I'll go into next week when we do the Dogon and some other things and all. Now, so it's also organized religion, and also it is also what you would particularly call the ego. And so this is what we're dealing with here. So, as a result, the Gnostics say that we are what you would call nihilism. We are nihilists. So I used to think that was negative at first. A nihilist is a person that says, fuck the earth, let's destroy this shit. Well, at first I was thinking that was on the concept of the white man destroying the earth. But I understood that the Gnostics was nihilists, and this was another concept. I understood that the Gnostics was nihilists, and this was another concept. The Gnostics said, while you are on the earth, you should reject Now we talking about a duality here. We talking about, they say you should reject what the earth gives you in all forms and try to cultivate spirituality. Meanwhile, they also talk about it's a double-edged sword because you got to survive while you in the game. So we're not talking about going out with, like I always say, getting some sandals and a stick and a long robe and just walking around saying, I just deny myself of anything. We're not talking about that. We're talking about mental concepts now. See, this is more advanced now. It's more of a way, because even when you do that, you still on the physical. You just walking around looking like Moses and shit, eating out of trash cans and shit. So we're talking about more of a mental, you understand, and a psychological spiritual manifestation. Whereas that that basically everything ain't about nothing. And it frees you up. I always talk about this. That's what the nihilism, what they're talking about here. As well as the apocalypse is not only a goal, it's our damn destiny. Because we understand that the apocalypse for us is the transformation out of the prison that is created on this physical earth to keep us in bondage. You understand where I'm coming from here? To keep us in bondage. Now, to keep us in bondage. Now, let's deal with some Gnostic scripts. And let's deal with some Gnostic scripts. Now, like I said, one of the best ones you want to get is Bentley Layton's book. This one is the one that came out again in 94. They just translated it out from French, I think, in 94. So this is the one that you want to get. It's $22 and well worth every bit of it. It's called The Gnostic Scriptures, Ancient Wisdom for the New Age. I don't like that word New Age now because, the crackers done messed that all up and all this kind of thing. But it's funny that the Christian now is telling everybody to be against the New Age for the simple fact what you even call New Age is better than that bullshit in the church. You see what I'm saying? So now let's deal with this. Now here's a book. I want to read this little part in the back. This is called Gnosis, Ancient Wisdom in the Christian Scriptures by William Kingsland. Now this book was written in the 1800s or the early 1900s, and they just re-released it. It says this book is extraordinary value, and look, this is what it says.